You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. I want to say it again, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. And that's what Lori Vallow is. Absolutely no good, no couth, no, can you look at the room? Do you care about the room? No, just a massive piece of dookie that was left on society by some joke of some sort of cosmic nature that brought this bitch into the world to have children, to take two out, to claim that they are fucking zombies. She's already doing 2 life sentences. 3, I think, right? Because, I mean, or is she now up for the 3rd? Or, you know what? Maybe this is her 4th trial. I don't know. She is pro se. This is almost comical. If, you know, there's nothing about this case that's funny. Here's a woman who's been married 4 or 5 times. I think it was 5 times by the time she was married to ding dong, dumbass, doggone, diddly whopper, doggone, dumbass Daybell, who said that he could predict the world, but was really like riding the coattails of his wife, who he was married to with children, and then I guess he scoped out like the looks of Lori Vallow, who was much more prettier than anybody he's ever seen before because he was a classic loser. Chad Daybell, Ding Dong Daybell, who just decided to take the book of Visions of Glory and make it his own. And just say that when people are darker, they do things, just simple things, like a kid that might not listen, because that's a common thread in today's society, man. Kids that don't listen, that's what makes up today's society. But no, doggone Daybell, dumbass, dumb fuck Daybell, and his, trophy wife that, I don't know, oh God, the mother of the children decided that the kids were dark, and they said, let me take them out. 4 or 5 people in the path of destruction of these doggone dumbass Daybells. And it's really not funny. It's not a joke. None of this is funny. But to hear the audacity of Lori Vallow Daybell, doggone dumbass, dumb shit Daybell, is pro se and being I guess accused of the death of her husband, and so she's talking to a woman. She's acting as her own lawyer, defending herself, and she's talking to a woman that dated her 4th husband, the one before dumbass Daybell, Charles Vallow, who this is a woman that she has on stand. And she's asking questions to this woman on stand and her late ex-husband, who she wasn't even had anything to do with, had already been involved and ran away and started this new life with Chad Daybell. Keeps referring to Charles Vallow as her husband, while she's talking to this woman that dated her husband one time after he was left behind by doggone Lori. And Lori is just trying to make this woman feel uncomfortable and shamed, more or less, for going out with her husband, who she, did I tell you, left behind, and would later seem to put out a contract on and have her brother kill him. And I did tell you that she unalived 2 of her children because she thought that they were dark and demonic, right? Kind of along the lines of that Frankie fuck. And, guys, I use this hard language here because it's children. We're really talking about kids. But we're also talking about the audacity and dumb fuckery of some woman who is just trying to take in the limelight. And for some reason, she thinks that we want to see her, that we think she is all that and more for unaliving her 2 children and at least 2 other people. And why? Why? Well, when they end her life, which I don't see any problem with that. Maybe they could take her brain out and check it out. In the meantime, guys, let's watch her make a fucking fool out of herself on stand while she is acting pro se to this woman who had an innocent date with her late husband, who, by the way, I did tell you Lori had killed, right? And allegedly. And how she's trying to make this woman feel uncomfortable for dating her husband one time the day before his MURDER by, I told you, Lori, right? And alleged. And, so just let's get something clear. They were talking, it seemed like Charles Vallow and this woman who's on stand have been talking for a little while before they go on their first date. So there is some sharing that just didn't happen on a first date. It happened over the course of a week or so of, I guess, where Charles probably felt very, very desperate. And, and probably needed a friend and was venting and was oversharing. But, in a way, that's a good thing. I think that ended up pretty good this time out. So let's jump into this, hear this, and I'm going to interrupt it a couple times because it's just so fucking ridiculous. Anyway, guys, yeah. And in case I forgot to tell you, this issue's with Toddy One Skip I Am, you're not. And I'm not Chevy Chase either. Get the reference? Of course, because I didn't come up with the saying. So, guys, this is a clip from, it's a very small clip, but it just shows the arrogance. But the woman on the stand really does keep it together a lot better than Lori. Lori looks like she's desperate, jealous, self-important, crappy piece of shit. In the meantime, I got this from Vinny Politan and 2 other people. I think it's called The Tangent. I'm not sure. But it's only about a minute and a half. And it's just to show how ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous. I wish that there was a better way to show justice for a victim. This woman's already got 3 life sentences. She's not going to live anymore. I think we should spend the money in a different way, but I'm not the victim's family, so I don't know. Everybody deserves their day in court, but the man is gone. Maybe that money could have gone in his name for something. I don't know. You can't kill this woman any more than 3. She's already got, like I said, 3 life sentences. But listen to her arrogance and the bullshit that she tries to pull here, guys, because it's just... You'd think she'd be shameful, but she's just not shameful. She is just not shameful.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Let's get that clear. His divorce was not even started yet. It doesn't matter that me, Lori Vallow, was living someplace else with another man, having sex every day with another man, taking my kids away from Charles, starting a new life with somebody else. I'm still going to call that man my husband because I can. In the meantime, Lori Vallow really was. She was having a relationship, she was planning her future and probably the kid's demise at this point. But she's going to bitch at this woman for dating her late ex-husband who was probably looking for some sort of happiness or something. And you have to remember, even though they had only been on one date 24 hours before his demise, they were texting and talking on the phone for about a week before. And I'm sure that he wanted... forefront on his mind was this damn divorce, and forefront on his mind was the fact that she was already speaking, Lori Vallow was already speaking that the kids were dark and people were dark, and he was already worried and concerned. So, of course, he spoke about what was going on in his life, and thank God he did, because listen, like this woman, and you could clearly see what piece of shit Lori is. Desperate bag of shit. Ding dong daybell.
So in your text messages, You asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Flirty.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm sure he did.
And she was determined to answer the question.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance.
Determined to answer the question. Yes, he did. Flirted right back, honey.
Are you trying to tell me
Flirted
in
right
this
back.
jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
There you go.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me.
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
You knew a lot about me,
Don't flatter yourself.
right?
I knew what I've testified to.
Don't flatter
What
yourself,
else did
Lori.
you talk about on your date?
Lots of things.
There you
Like
go.
what, for instance?
None of your business.
Life, kids, the church, lots of things.
There you go.
Okay. Did he tell you about
Did it bother
anything
you?
about our other 4 children?
Yes,
So you knew that we did have 5 children as well?
I did.
Okay.
You weren't with him.
Did you
You
about my
weren't with
daughter
the man?
Tylee?
He did.
Did he talk about his relationship with her?
I don't recall that.
You weren't with him.
Did he talk about the contention in
You
his
were with
relationship
Chad.
with my daughter Tylee?
I don't recall that.
You were with Chad.
I'm sure you don't.
Okay, I'm going to object to
Planning on
comments
the
by
demise of
defendant
your
after
children.
questions, Testifying.
Lori.
I'll sustain the objection.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman. Is that correct?
Your husband.
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance. You stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about
What a
that
piece of
he
crap
changed
this
the
woman
life
is.
insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which
That's
that
right.
didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary
Be clear,
of his life
Lori.
insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he?
There you go. $1 million that Lori Vallow wanted to take from him. And as a matter of fact, the next day, Charles Vallow would no longer be of this earth because Lori would have had her brother unalive him. That's, what she's on trial for. That's what everything looks like. And, her brother's no longer on this earth either. So many people gone. But this woman on the stand who had one date, and had every right to date somebody, knew that the marriage was over if she was to believe Charles. And Charles was telling her the truth, Lori had gone on to live her life with somebody else, was planning a divorce from Charles because she was madly in love with Chad Daybell. Ding Dong Daybell. Who now she is gonna spend eternity with, I reckon so. But Lori seems to think that her kids come. That's a whole other story, actually. That she gets visits from her children in her cell block. They come and visit her and tell her everything's okay. The same ones that she unalived. You know that, right? Guys, she's so full of it. But I am so glad that this woman kind of put her in her place. Like, we don't talk about you. You're insignificant. And yeah, $1 million, which you probably used to, because, you unalived them, supposedly, allegedly, and all that crap. Anyway, guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. This is, you want me to go in on this because I've done a few of this woman, but she's entertainment, but it's too bad at the cost of what this is. You know what I mean? Guys, be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Always try to be kind. If you can't, duck. And please like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.